Hey everybody, today I'm going to be recording the 11-2 notes, so have those handy, all right? So the warm-up here says to describe a pattern in each sequence, use at least one of these words, add, subtract, or difference. So this warm-up's really just trying to get your feet wet as to what we're going to be doing throughout the unit, and we're going to be looking at arithmetic and geometric sequences. And the first one, if you take a look at it here with this warm-up, you just really want to see what's happening between each term. And it looks like, to get from 10 to 8, we're subtracting 2, 8 to 6, we're subtracting 2. And if you notice, that's the pattern. So in this case, we're subtracting 2. In the next one, if you notice, we're adding 117. So we're going to say add 117. And the next one, we're adding 3/7. All right, so we're going to say add 3/7. All right, and the next one out, if you weren't sure, you could use your calculator and do 8/7 minus 5/7, and you would get 3/7, or 117 minus 100, right? And you'd get 117, or 8 minus 10, and you'd get -2. So if you look at number 4, it's got fractions, it's got negative numbers, could be a little confusing. If you want, what you could do is do -1/2 minus 1/4. So let's try that out in our calculator. -1/2 minus 1/4 minus a -1/4, 1/4. And we're going to get -0.25. You can go to math frac. So we're going to get -1/4. So we are adding, we're adding -1/4, right? Because -1/4 minus 1/4 gives me -2/4 or -1/4. Right, so we're going to say subtract 1/4. Right, so this was kind of a little preliminary view of what we're going to be doing, throughout this exact lesson. So if you're a little confused on number 4, don't worry. We're going to do lots more examples. So let's take a look at some of the vocabulary. So at the top of the page, I just want to give you an example that we can reference as we go through the vocabulary. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, very common arithmetic sequence. All right. So an arithmetic sequence means that the difference between consecutive terms is constant. Let's write that down. The difference between consecutive terms is constant. Right, consecutive terms meaning one term right after the next, and that the difference is constant. So if you said 4 minus 2, that gives you 2. 6 minus 4, that gives you 2. 8 minus 6, that gives you 2. So the difference between the consecutive terms is constant. We call that difference the common difference. So the common difference, this difference, is called the common difference. Right, and the next vocabulary term we have here is the arithmetic mean. That means that the average of two numbers, all right, the arithmetic mean is the average of two numbers. And in the case of arithmetic sequences, it's just the middle number of three numbers. So if we were going to look at 2, 4, and 6, 4 would be our arithmetic mean. All right, so let's write that down again. Here, for any 3, we'll say any 3 numbers in the sequence, the middle is the average, or the middle is the arithmetic mean. I mean, you could take the middle number, or if you don't know what the middle number is, let's say 4 wasn't there, right? If we erase that, you would take the average. What's 2 plus 6 divided by 2? 2 plus 6 is 8, divided by 2 gives you 4. All right, so let's take a look at some examples. It says, are the following sequences arithmetic? If so, identify the common difference. So we just want to make sure that the difference between the terms doesn't change. So if we look at the first one, is 4 minus 2 is 2. 6 minus 4 is 2. 8 minus 6 is 2. Okay, so we know that we have a arithmetic sequence. So we're going to say yes. And that difference, in this case, is 2. Let's look at the next example. Is 5 minus 2 is 3. 7 minus 5 is 2. All right, so we know right out of the gate there, this is not an arithmetic sequence. And the last one, 45 minus 48 is negative 3. 42 minus 45 is negative 3. 39 minus 42 is negative 3. So yes, and our common difference is negative 3. Now, I'm going to give you some formulas, but I did set up a formula sheet for you that I would like you to print off, or if you don't have a printer, you certainly can just hand write these out. This is the formula sheet that I'm talking about, and we're talking about today this top box, which is arithmetic sequence formulas. It's all nice and handy there for you. We're going to write them down in the notes as well, but you don't have to memorize these. And if you were to take a final, which this year there's no final, but I wouldn't have had you memorize these anyway for the final. So you would just have the formula sheet handy. All right, so the first one here is a recursive formula. And let's write it down and then I'll explain it. A sub n equals a sub n minus 1 plus d. So a recursive formula is always going to relate each term to the one before. So when we talk about recursive, we're going to make a note here. Relate each term to the term before. All right, so this a sub n minus 1 means the term before a sub n. What do I mean by that? You're probably thinking. Let's do our example here. Right, so if a sub n is 8, a sub n minus 1 is 6. If a sub n is 4, a sub n minus 1 is 2. All right, so a sub n minus 1 just means the term before a sub n. D represents our common difference. All right, so what are we doing to each term to get to the next one? We're either adding or we're subtracting a number. Now the explicit formula just, is a formula in terms of n. We'll just make a note here in terms of n. All right, let's write it down. So a sub n equals the value of the first term. All right, so this means the value, a sub 1 means the value of the first term. All right, so in my example, 2 is a sub 1. And in my example, the common difference is 2, right? So D will always represent our common difference. All right, let's look at how we can use these. All right, now notice I said, very important, the recursive formula relates to the term before. So it says find the 32nd term of each sequence. Well, it looks like we have a sub 1, the value of the first term. We have a sub 2, the value of the second term, a sub 3, a sub 4. If we wanted to use the recursive formula, we would need to know the value of the 31st term. So we know right out of the gate, we can't use the recursive formula. We're going to have to use the explicit formula. So I'm going to write the explicit formula down here. All right. I'm going to identify the value of my first term right here. A sub 1 is the value of my first term. And n is going to tell me, well, we're going to actually have using n in this case as 32. This is n, all right? So we want to know the value of the 32nd term. So in other words, n in this case is going to equal 32. And the last thing we need to know before we proceed here is the common difference. So what you want to do is you want to do 201 minus 213. Or you want to do 189 minus 201, or 177 minus 189. When you do that, you're going to get negative 12. So D is equal to negative 12, right? 201 minus 213 is negative 12. All right, so we're all ready to go. We have all of our important pieces of information identified. We're going to fill in the value of the first term, which is 213. N we know is 32. And the common difference is negative 12. When we simplify that, we're going to get negative 159. All right, let's take a look at number 5. All right, we already know that n is equal to 32 because they're asking us for the 32nd term. We know that a sub 1, the value of the first term, is 23. All right, and then to find the common difference, we're going to do subtraction. So 30 minus 23 is going to give us 7. Or 37 minus 30 gives us 7. Or 44 minus 37 gives us 7. So D in this case is going to be equal to 7. All right, let's write the formula. A sub n equals the value of the first term plus n minus 1 times D. We know that n is 32. The value of the first term is 23. N is 32. And D is 7. When we simplify that, we're going to get 240. So the value of the 32nd term is 240. All right, last page here. Excuse me. So for any 3 sequential terms in an arithmetic sequence, the middle term is the arithmetic mean. So it says you can use the mean to find a missing term if we're told, and this is important, we have to be told it's an arithmetic sequence. If we know that, we can just take the average of the 2 numbers that were given to find the middle number. So we're going to do 14 plus 28 divided by 2. In this case is 21. Or we're going to do 203 plus 1,117 divided by 2. That gives us 660. All right, so this 8 and 9 probably looks pretty intimidating. Let's kind of map this out. It says find the value of the arithmetic mean, a sub n. And we talked about this notation already a little bit, but Let's make a note here. So we've got a sub n. We've got the value before a sub n. We call that a sub n minus 1. And we have the value after a sub n, which is a sub n plus 1. All right. Now let's fill in what they gave us. They said that a sub n minus 1 is 4. They said that a sub n plus 1 is minus 3. And they want us to find a sub n. All right, we know that it's an arithmetic sequence. All right, it says find the arithmetic mean. So we're going to do 4 plus negative 3 divided by 2, which gives us 1/2. Not so bad, right? For number 9, same thing. Let's just write this out nice and neat. We have a sub n. We have the value after a sub n. And we have the value before a sub n. Let's fill in what is given. A sub n minus 1 is 100. A sub n plus 1 is 140. To find the arithmetic mean, we're going to add those two numbers together and divide by 2. All right. So that is all I have for this lesson. All right. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for tuning in.